Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pastrami Nation. We are the meat of pop culture. My name is Nolan Smith, and joining me today for this special interview, we have Pastrami Nation's own Rebecca Benson.
Hello.
And we have a special guest today. He is the writer of the new hit series from Mad Cave, Terminal Punks. Please welcome Matthew Erman.
Hello. That's my name. I am Matthew Erman. It's very nice to meet you guys both for the first time. I hope you're both doing well in the universe right now. Are you guys are you in the same city, or do you?
We're in California, different cities.
Oh, okay. So you guys are probably doing pretty all right. Hopefully.
I can't complain. Yeah, yeah. Life has become kind of weird this year, right? But
for sure.
I can't complain at all. It's we're along for the ride. We're surviving, and we get to read quality comic books at home. So
that's all you can. That's one of the many things you can ask for, and I'm glad that it's happening. And I've been reading a lot of comic books the past 9 months.
It's so unreal.
Just thinking about it again. I've been reading a lot of comic books, watching a lot of movies, mostly been at home, obviously, for a lot of reasons.
Any standouts there? Any standout comics or standout movies that have popped up during this quarantine time?
That's a good question. The one that I read most recently was Ultra Gash Inferno by Suhiro Maro, which is it's a weird Japanese Guro manga creator. It's reprehensible. The actual contents of the book are in no way okay to talk about, but it's a good read though.
Totally an answer I did not expect at all in a million.
I have very eclectic tastes. But Junji Ito is like a comparable, I guess, because it's kind of grotesque and it's very visceral, but there's something about the actual art that's like kind of entrancing and super beautiful. And so it's this weird balance of like, I'm looking at this really horrible, disgusting thing, but it's done and drawn so beautifully and so well that you have to appreciate that aspect of it.
I absolutely see where you're going there. Yeah. Totally, man. Well, awesome. Well, we do want to talk about your new project, Terminal Punks. Launched the Mad Cave. So first off, can you give us a story? Tell us about Terminal Punks.
Terminal Punks is about 4 teenagers that are en route to their first big show in New York, and also kind of in tandem, also traveling to New York is a cargo plane full of zoo animals that have been anesthetized with kind of an experimental drug. And the plane crashes and monsters break out in the airport, and our 4 crust punk teens have to basically survive in this really horrible situation. And it's a lot of fun. I know that's like a weird sting at the end. So really, it's a lot of fun. But I really wanted to write like a really weird, fun cartoon thing, and it feels so good because I got my copies and they're it's so wonderful. Like Shelby did such a good job on it, and I don't know, it's just so fun to see. I love it.
That's awesome.
So was there anything specific that inspired you to create this story?
No, actually. Mad Cave kind of came to me with a very general idea of like, they wanted this story that kind of hit certain notes. And there are a couple aspects that are still in the book. They wanted something that took place in an airport, et cetera, et cetera. And so I kind of had these puzzle pieces to play around with and created kind of this, I guess, Frankenstein story of really a big mashup of a lot of things that I've loved in the past. I think the most immediate thing that for me, the most immediate inspiration almost feels like, did anyone ever play that video game Rampage back in
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's like a big lizard and a big monkey and
you destroy the buildings and
it's real like Godzilla-esque.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first saw Shelby's cover design, I just immediately flashed back to that. I'm like, oh, this must have been like the back of my brain inspiration that was kind of like the hiding behind whatever it was. So Rampage kind of feels like an immediate inspiration. I also really like the movie Green Room, and there were like punk kids in that movie that were heroes. I think that's also kind of like in the same genre of punk kid movies. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I don't know. I listen to a lot of music. And Terminal Punks was really inspired by like listening to music and trying to like really capture that the feel of it, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of cool things about it. Was there anything in particular that you were surprised by about the book? I'm asking you questions now.
Oh, look at that. He turned the tables. Well, I got a kick out of it right from the beginning. I mean, the whole, the zoo transporting these things you can't quite see, and then all of a sudden, boom. And I'm a big, monster film fan. So to see anything with monsters in it, I'm going to love.
Oh, yeah. I've really been loving like the new... the first Godzilla movie that came out with, I think Bryan Cranston was in it, was like okay,
right?
But the one they just did with what's her face,
from
Stranger Things girl. Yeah. That one was really good. It was really like I really liked the monsters in it. It felt
they kind of built on the lore. Yeah,
there was a lot more design and there was a lot more thought put in. I don't know. It felt good. Terminal Punks kind of has that too, because when I was working kind of with Mad Cave and Shelby came on, I really wanted them to design the monster. Like I wrote out what they were and like kind of really loose concepts of kind of what I thought they could be. I'm real bad with making monsters. I just kind of like, it's hard to describe what I see in my brain sometimes. And I just kind of resort to like, it's a big alligator or whatever. Which is not very writerly of me, I guess. But working with Shelby, they really made these monsters from the ground up. At my direction and Mad Cave's direction were very low. Not much of it, because they did such a good job, and I can't wait for more people to see like some of the weird monsters that are in the next couple issues and where it goes. It's such a weird story. But I don't know. Were we talking about inspirations? I forgot what we were talking about. I just started rambling.
It was inspirations, and then you flipped the script on us. And we're like, Well, we were warned that you were going to go crazy on this interview. So.
I know. It's really hard to have a regular, normal conversation with people when publishers are just like, he's going to go wild on your podcast.
They said he's going to go crazy. Expectations were set so high.
I know. It's like, what do I have to do to, like, that's a lot to live up to.
It is. Now, just to veer away from Terminal Punks just for a minute, you're no stranger to the world of comics. And I had just found out right before this interview, you're actually the writer of, one of my favorite indie books that came out in the last few years, Long Lost.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that you read it, actually. Thank you for reading it and enjoying it. That was the first comic book I did. It was like, I think the first issue came out in November of 2017. And so not that long ago. And like I've kind of been writing on the general success of or the perceived success of that book, I guess. And so it's been good. I'm excited to get more work out there. Long Lost was such a weird, like, personal story. I never thought it was going to get published. It was just like this kind of thing that me and my wife did. And when Scout picked it up, we were just like, we really got thrown into the wolves, because we wanted to do it like a original, like a big book. We could take our time. We could, like, we're working jobs. We got to figure stuff out. And it's And then Scout's like, we want to do this as a monthly. And we're like, I don't know kind of how that works at all. And we really just got thrown into the lion's den with it. And Lisa was working on the book like for 3 or 4 hours every day after work. And I was like writing it as after work and stuff. And it was a very big labor of love, and it has paid off in the fact that I can do this full time now. And I think it's like, I think if there's one thing I want to get across with like this, like long lost and it existing, is like 3.5 years ago, I wasn't a comic book writer. And it's just like, you can create something and put yourself out there and try to, trying to do something. And that's all that long lost was like an attempt. And it led to stuff. And I always encourage people, to get out and like make their ideas and write their comics and see what happens and get into the industry. And because every time like a saga comes around, it helps everybody, because everyone's buying that book, and that means everyone's buying more books. So I always try to push people to be creative in this field, which is so welcoming to new creators. And I'm, like I said, Lisa and I have only been doing this for 3 years, and I feel very, very lucky to have had what I've had happen. So thank you for enjoying Long Lost. That's a long way of saying I'm very grateful for people that read that book and have supported me getting more jobs. Really, that's what you guys have done.
Oh, and it was so cool to see, because Long Lost is this very serious, like you said, personal story. And then from there, we talked a little bit about your other projects. You've went to Care Bears, you went to Dark Crystal, and now at Terminal Punks. Terminal Punks is like a total opposite of what Long Lost is. Like it's more it's this cartoony story with big monsters at an airport versus being stuck in the middle of the woods trying to find your mom.
Yeah, I before I was writing comics, I was writing short stories, and I did poetry and stuff, and I tried getting work and tried getting published in that field, and it just, some things just don't work out. And part of it being in that world is always like never really having a thing that you always write about. And I always, like, right after Long Lost, I did Care Bears, and that was like, it's a really weird switch to go from this big like horror thing and then do this thing for kids. And it was, I wrote it with Nadia Shamus, and like, it was a really refreshing experience. And I think one of the things about working in comics and being a writer in this field, and I'm sure it translates to other writing professions as well, but like, you get the opportunity to write a horror thing and then be like, oh, I want to do something lighter and more fun, and that doesn't require all this emotional currency to create. And then you can do something like Care Bears, and it's still rewarding, and you still get to go to the conventions and like give it out to kids, which is a really great experience. It's like different than hanging out at conventions with adults. It's like it's really nice. And it's just, I don't know. It's one of the best things about comics is getting to bounce around and do different genres. Dark Crystal was like this really fun fantasy that I got to do, and I've never written fantasy before, and it was just it was a really fun, weird experience. I hope everyone gets to write for Dark Crystal.
Goals to shoot for, that's, but I mean, it's Dark Crystal too. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean,
oh, that's awesome.
What I really appreciated in Terminal Punks was the character developments between your characters, kind of your average teenager to not so average, and just to see they're playing off of each other and their vibes, and see what their strengths are going to be in the situation that they're stuck with. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, no, thank you. I really love the characters of Terminal Punks. Like, it's so weird when you like sit down and to make like a I don't know if you do you guys write, or I'm assuming you write because you do the Pastrami Nation, but
Yeah.
did you like do creative writing? Like, do you write your own comics or do you do poetry? I love poetry.
I self-published one years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, no. And so it's like when you're sitting down and you're like making a character, it's like that really is the most fun part. And for me, a lot of that comes when I'm like actually sitting down and I'm like writing the script. And it's, you really get to figure out like who these people are and how they tick and
how they would react. Right.
Yeah. And Mad Cave and the editor on this book, Chris Sanchez, they really supported the kind of weirdness and the I mean, it's not super weird, but it's just like the way it's written is not I would say traditional, and they really edited it to that strength, and Chris did an incredible job making me look like a better writer, so I'm really thankful to him. But no, thank you. I'm glad that the characters came through. I have my favorites. Do you have any favorites so far? I'm assuming you've only read the first issue?
Correct.
Yeah. It's a wild ride.
It is. And so I was wondering if you had like pulled influences from back, your social cliques in high school and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I was in high school. What was I? Oh, excuse me. In high school I was like, I actually had very similar hair. This is not intentional, but it's circumstance. But so in high school, what was it? I was like, I don't know. I wanted to be nominated for superlatives for best hair. That was like the one goal that I had. I didn't get it. And other than that, like my high school was enormous. There was like 2,400 kids, and like I was a class of 600, and I barely knew like 15 people at the tops. It was just so spread out. So I was very, very in my own world in high school. But yeah, I did have a couple of friends that were from, so I grew up in Kettering, Ohio. And then like the nice, really fancy pants neighborhood was Centerville. And that's like right next to Kettering. Okay. And I had some friends over in Centerville that got into some crust punk stuff that some of this I definitely pulled from. Some of the personalities and the general disdain for basically everything that isn't yourself. My favorite character is Darby in the Terminal Punks. I think she is the crowning achievement of this book, I think.
Yeah, us really girls got together, so you kind of stole mine.
Oh yeah, I think Darby's like, I don't know. I really like this teenage girl who's just an absolute asshole, and there's this like unrepentant. Like, sorry if I don't know if I can say that word, but
you can. Yeah, you're
okay, good. Cool. She's just so mean, and I like, I don't know. Girls are like that, and people are like that, and I think it's one of those
real life.
Yeah, it's real life. People can be all sorts of ways, and I think that I've met some asshole teenage girls in my life that were just so mean and just knew it and just thrived off that energy. And that's Darby. She loves being the bad guy, and I think we all. I mean, I don't know if we all, but I think we know people like that in our lives that we put up with, that we tolerate, that we like, despite the fact that they're like always trying to be like that person.
Yep, absolutely.
And I don't know. There's something about like when I was writing her and like figuring out who she was, and that started to bubble up. I was like, oh, I know who these people are. I know what this is. And it really like, I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm really excited for you guys to see where her story goes, because it's really weird.
Yeah, me too, because it totally made me flash back to my high school, because I was a bando, so I totally know about those dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I that, the other thing too, to give Shelby even more credit, Shelby designed all those characters from no descriptions. I talked with Shelby, and I think one of the really incredible things about making comics just in general is that it's this very collaborative thing. And I feel like normally comics have a couple of creatives. You have the editorial side, and then you have like kind of the actual like creative team. So that's like the writer, the artist, the colorist, whatever, and the letterer too. Micah letters in this are incredible. I just also want to shout him out too. He really made this book completely readable because we were worried about how it was going to look. But so one of the incredible things about making comics is you get to work with people like Shelby, who's an incredible creative talent. I never would have met them in real life. They live in Texas. And it's just like getting the opportunity to work with such talented people and give them the opportunity to be creative. And like Mad Cave gave both of us that opportunity to kind of do what we wanted to do. And Shelby's character designs are 100% them, like from the ground up. I told them to go crazy and to put everything that they could into making them, or making these characters feel like something that was personal to them. And they did a great job. I working with Shelby on this book was a very big highlight of, when did I write this? Beginning of last year? Or no, beginning of this year. Beginning of this year going, because it's still, yeah. This whole year has been saved really by working on this book with Shelby, because it's seeing their like pages and stuff and seeing their designs has been, every time they come in, they're so good.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that you didn't give a whole lot of direction on when it came to like the designs and whatnot. It was the artist that was able to come up with these amazing designs. Yeah. And it's just so cool to be able to, let the artist do that. Because being a writer,
that's what they do.
Like I wouldn't know, just like you, I'd be like big lizard,
So it's like you have to do like it's a collaborative thing, and I think that's the best part about it is that I'm not an artist. I am an artist, but I don't draw. I'm not an illustrator. I can't. I'm not that. I don't have that technical artistic side. And so part of the fun part about making comics is creating stuff, and you get to create these characters. And I think when a writer gives like just enough to allow the other side of creative to really fully be expressive and themselves, I think that's the best a collaboration could be. And I think that's I think Terminal Punks for me was like very high on the list of achieving that. I felt like we all, Micah, Shelby, and I, it felt like a band thing where we were all playing our own parts, but they all gelled really, really nicely together. I don't know. It was a great experience.
No, and I really feel like the book is at the right place. Mad Cave has put out just such a diverse amount of books. Like you can look at their library and you can find samurais, and you can find superheroes and supervillains, and you can find monsters, and it's fantastic. Such a great publisher for this.
They all look different too, and that was like the big thing with like Terminal Punks, is I wanted to get an artist that doesn't look like every artist, or not to say that every artist looks the same, but I wanted to get something that stood out that you don't normally see on a comic book shelf. And I think Shelby's work has been online. It's been in the nib. It's been like a lot of people have seen it, but for some reason, artists like that don't get picked up for these monthly series. And I don't know. I think I forgot what I thought, but it's a great book. Everyone go buy it.
This is part of him going crazy, everybody.
It works really well because it kind of plays off the vibrancy and rock and roll lifestyle. So
it works. Yeah, sure. My inability to stay focused on a conversation for longer than 45 seconds is a great example of my rock and roll lifestyle.
And it embodies you going crazy.
Yeah.
Everything is cohesive.
I don't know. What have you guys been reading? What's been good? I haven't gotten out of the house in the past week, so I've been kind of locked in.
Rebecca, do you have anything that pops in your head? I do, but I'll let you go first.
But definitely Terminal Punks, Hollywood Trash, Pantomime, kind of Mad Caveman myself, so got to stick to what I know and love.
For sure.
And enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, one of the great things about comics is like the publishers are so diverse that you can kind of have publisher loyalty and be kind of reasonable about it, because you generally like the creators, you generally like the stories they put out. So it's one of those cool things where it's like when you say like I like Mad Cave books, I know exactly what kind of books you're into and what kind of books you're reading. And I run into so many people that like Vault's titles too. And
I thought I was about to say Vault, because I have quite a few of their books, including what's the one, Rebecca? The Autumnal,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
that's really good.
such a good book. And I think they just put out Giga.
Chris Sheehan's the artist on the Autumnal.
Autumnal.
right?
I want to
Chris.
say yes.
The art in that book is gorgeous. I was like really blown away by the art in that.
And it's so eerie, you know.
It really
Again,
is.
Like, you like when you get to the end of that first issue, you're like,
it was a good first issue. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Another book I picked up recently was We Live from Aftershock, and it's kind of about end of the world type of thing. Like the aliens told us like, hey, the world's gonna end. Here's so many bracelets to put on your kids. On this day, we're gonna come pick them up, but the world's ending. So that's it. And you have this like old Master Roshi looking guy trying to take these kids on a bus to this place, and they're getting attacked by these like swamp beasts and whatnot. And it's an amazingly fun book.
Who wrote it? I haven't caught that on my radar.
It's Merca. It's
Merca and Dolfo.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, not Merca and Dolfo. And Anada, I want to say. It's two brothers that wrote it. And they wrote it and they did the art. And it was a surprise for me, you know. Aftershock, they've put out really good titles, you know, Rough Riders and whatnot. And We Lived looked very fun. So, you know, I picked that up. Dead End Kids, just read the new one from Frank Gogol from over at Source Point Press. Mm-hmm. And very dark, you know, mystery kind of book. We tend to, I think both Rebecca and I kind of tend to go away from superheroes, and we go to like the outskirts of comics, and that, you know, we love to see what other stories can be told, because any story can be told in the comic book format.
Right. You know, it's really interesting. I mean, DC and Marvel have such a huge sharehold of like just the comic book shelf, but really when you like go up and down the comic book shelf, it's like, I would say it's about half and half really of just like the quote unquote indies from like Boom and Image. I mean, Image is like maybe the big three.
Exactly. I can't like, really consider them indie anymore.
But at the same time, they're not doing cape books. Like they're doing creator owned like original content, original ideas.
That's true, and it's always
Department of Truth I've been reading, which has been like really good.
Yes, shocking ending on that first issue too.
I know. So I think one of the things about comics that's so interesting in the book industry is that specifically even the direct market, when you look at like the comic book shelf, is like, yeah, you have like half of it is cape books, and I think that's always going to be a part of it. But a bigger, and I don't know, I mean, it just feels like a larger part of the share is going to these independent publishers like Boom and Vault and Aftershock and Scout that have been, and Mad Cave too, and that have been putting out really interesting looking books that are, I don't know, I haven't seen books like this get, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because my stuff's getting published, I'm like, people haven't even published me, so something weird must be going on. But
no, but I think you're right though, because we are seeing more of a boom of it, and I think a lot of it comes from, we've seen a lot of people come up from the indies, and then they jump into like the big Marvel, DC, and then they jump back. Donny Cates, Cates, started, indie, jumped to Marvel, and then now he's doing Image and stuff. And I think people are starting to realize that there's a lot of good books out there that don't have to be part of the big three or big four. I always like to put Dark Horse in there too. But like Villainous from Mad Cave, when we had Stoney on the show, and he said how it sold out and the first printing, and that was just such an amazing thing, because that means that many more people are giving it a shot. Yeah, and that's all it takes. Give it a shot, and you will enjoy these books.
I think the hardest thing, I mean, for me, like I said, I'm still new into like being a regular comic book person. Before this, like I went, like I hate to say it, I didn't have a relationship with a comic book store. I got my stuff on I went to a bookstore here in Columbus, and I got my trades. And it wasn't until like I got into the industry and kind of understood how the direct market works and how the single issues works. It's really like it can be so frustrating, because it's such a wonderful system of having serialized content, and it's like it's really hard to get that now. Like everything that you consume is either like short form, like a movie, or it's completely available to you as soon as it's all out, like streaming services. And comics, and I think maybe a couple of TV shows are the only things that are doing and like staggering the way the storytelling is told.
Like, and it builds the anticipation, waiting for that next.
I think part of the joy of experiencing comics for a lot of people is the 30-day wait in between each issue, sometimes 2 weeks. It mimics the anticipation that you get, when you're watching your favorite television show, and it leaves on a cliffhanger. You have to wait a week to find out.
You're like, I can't wait.
Yeah, it takes up your brain real estate. You're thinking about, not that thing not being resolved. And it makes you so much more of a fan of it. I think that's why people like The Mandalorian so much, is because it staggers its releases every week. People get a little bit of
and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. You get that. You get those endorphins on Friday when it comes out. You're super happy for an hour 15, and then you got to wait a week. And people, like, I don't know. It's that endorphin cycle. It's like that feedback loop. And I think serialized content is good at that. I don't know if it's good for us as humans, but it's definitely good at doing that. And I tend to like stories more when I'm invested over a longer period of time versus consuming something like rapid fire. Things tend to be more memorable the longer it takes to. It's like, when you're eating a really good plate of food, you just try to savor it. You don't just gobble it all up.
Yeah, you don't McDonald's it and just
Yeah, that's when you're shame eating, and you don't want to remember this meal.
But those nuggets are going in, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, they warned you would be crazy, yeah.
So how do you feel that the reception has been since the first issue's release?
So Terminal Punks is not out yet. It comes out next week.
Oh, look at that.
It's okay. But that wasn't just like a totally trying to correct you thing. I do have an answer for that, and that because people have been reading it, and there have been advanced reader copies out. So the reception has been very positive. I do read reviews. I think I'm always very interested in them. I have a pretty thick skin when it comes to like getting told my stuff stinks. I think that's part of the business is, as a creative, is that like, at best, half of the people like your thing, which is like, would be insane. So, I'm very lucky that people like and have been supportive of this book. We got some good reviews from a couple of places that were very positive. I was very, very grateful that they enjoyed it. But that is to say that if people didn't like it, I would also be grateful for their not liking it as well.
Because at least they read it.
Exactly.
Yep. Completely agree. What can readers expect going down the road in Terminal Punks? I know you can't give away spoilers, but anything you want, any kind of inkling you can give us?
Yeah. So, no, I don't think I can spoil anything. Actually, I don't even think, truthfully, I don't even think I could say a sentence that would
Without
give
spoiling
away
something?
without. I don't know how to talk about the book without it being like the setup, because it goes to such weird places.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's okay. I'd rather it be a surprise for people as they read it.
Yeah, I think if you like the characters and you read it and you take a chance on it and you like, or you're interested in the characters, I think this book is it's very much about the main four characters, main five. There's another character that gets kind of added in later. But every single issue, this is something I can spoil. Every single issue takes place from the perspective of one of the teens. So
Okay.
This issue, chapter 1, is Key is introduced as kind of the main character of this issue. And that's the monologue that's kind of running throughout this first issue. The next issue is a different member of the band and their monologue through the entire situation.
Oh.
So as the story progresses, you learn more about each of these characters and kind of how they perceive what's happening. And I wanted to do that because I didn't feel like there was any it didn't feel like there was a main character of this book. It felt like the band and them as a unit was like the chief instrument of like the audience getting to connect with the story. And that's why it starts with the drummer. I play drums, but I think the feeling is that the drummers are often the most forgotten member of the band. Sometimes they're often in the back, but they're the most important, and they can be. And that's why I wanted to start it off with Key, who is the drummer, because it's a way of me saying, like, he's not the lead singer. We're not going to really focus on like the lead singer of a band. It's about the band as a whole and these kids as they like work through this very strange situation.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah, and
Yeah.
make sure everybody check out Terminal Punks. Comes out next week. What? So next
November
week.
11th.
There we go. November 11th.
Yeah, I think it'll
Veterans
be out
Day.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a holiday. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it'll be out next week, and then I think we're on track to continue releasing every month. It's 5 issues, and I think if you're interested in this story, I would definitely give the first issue a shot. I think it's definitely worth the $4 you would pay for it. And stick with it if you like it. I think it goes to some weird places, and I think it tells I hope it tells a charming, weird story about perseverance, I guess.
That is the strangest way to describe it. I love it. That was great. Oh, that was fantastic. Now, before we close, sir, any other projects you're working on right now? Anything else that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so next year I have a bunch of stuff releasing. This year I just had come out Power Rangers Sins of the Future from Boom. That came out last week. If you're a Power Rangers fan, I think it's a cool read. I tried to write it so that people can get into it and not know too much. Like, if you know who the Power Rangers are, there's a pink one and a blue one, you'll probably get the general premise.
And they do like a lot of motions, and then they turn into Rangers.
Yeah. So, that's it. So I wrote one of those. That's out. It's a really cool book. Next month, the trade collection of Dark Crystal comes out that I wrote, which is really cool. If you like the Netflix series, my arc was about Mayrin, the queen of the Netflix series. It was really cool. Getting to work with Henson was like a dream come true.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It was really wild. And then next year I'm doing a book with Vault called Bonding with Emily Pearson. She did Submerged, or not Submerged. She did I'm forgetting it. This always happens. The Wilds. She did
Oh,
the
the
Wilds.
Wilds.
Yeah. Emily did the Wilds with Vita, and she's doing The Vein with Elliot right now. That's through Oni. Oni's doing that one.
Okay. That's a good publisher, yeah.
Yeah. And I have that coming out next year. That's going to be Vault's hopefully going to be announcing stuff soon about that. It's a very strange book.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait to talk about that one.
Vault always again has that diverse library, but they like to go to the very dark parts of the world. So
yeah, and I'm working on a bunch of other stuff that I can't talk about quite yet, but I don't know. It's really exciting, and I hope everyone continues to be interested in the things that I write. Nobody needs to be. It's so weird that everyone reads these things that I write. Thank you for doing that. You don't have to, and it's incredible that you do. So, 2021 is going to be, I have a lot of stuff coming out. So everyone's going to be real sick of hearing about me.
We shall see. Where can people find you online, sir?
Twitter is the only thing I have.
Okay.
You can find me on Twitter at Matthew Erman. And that's just how it is. And then I have a website if you want to contact me about writing your Marvel or DC comic book, if you're Marvel or DC.
Look at that. Dark Knight Metals.
Why not? Twitter or just my website. But you can usually just hit me up on Twitter. I'm cool with that.
Twitter's amazing for connections. So
yeah,
absolutely. Well, we do thank you so much for your time, sir. I want to encourage everybody again, please go to your comic shop. Tell them you want to read Terminal Punks from Mad Cave and give it a shot. It's $3.99 for the first issue. Give it a shot and see what you think. Give independent comic books a shot. You'll be surprised at the stories you find.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, sir. Signing off, this is Nolan Smith. We are Pastrami Nation. We are the meat of pop culture.